On this episode of Small Town Gen X. The lips, remember they had the big lips that you could talk, or the high heel phone, or
the shoe
that was a phone.
Yes,
and Garfield.
Yes,
they had
all those.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you could get a Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Did you have a Mickey Mouse?
No.
There was somebody that had a Mickey Mouse, I know, and I had one that it was like clear,
and it had all the colors, like the wires, and
and when it would ring, it would light up. It would be like it would be like a light, and you could have it as like a little night light.
See,
too.
you had all the fun stuff. You got all that.
I did have that and phones, phone wise, I did have a lot of fun stuff. Hello? Oh, do I have a story for you? Oh, do tell. Hello and welcome to the podcast Small Town Gen X.
We're two friends that grew up together in a small town who happen to be cousins. Can't get any more small town than that.
And we have a bunch of stories to tell you from our childhood. I'm Kate.
And I'm Launa. We are pretty fucking excited to record this episode.
We are excited.
Yes.
Our second episode.
Ooh, number 2.
It was fun to see, like, when I posted it to Facebook and tagged you on it, just on our personal pages.
Yes.
It was fun to see people's comments.
Yes, yeah.
And I loved the whole lice, like Rid and Nix.
Yep.
And I love how people were like, I was yelling in my car or whatever.
Right.
Like, Nix.
Yep. I knew it was 3 letters. I just could not think of it. And Rid and Nix. Yep,
our 3 letters. Yeah. Because I said it to Tim when we were listening to it. I was like, what is it? What is that? And he was like, Rid? And I was like, yes. So I'm glad that people are relating to it. I even had someone, I had put it on my Instagram stories and had someone like respond and say that they really liked it. Yeah. So I feel like, and it was all kind of people that are around our age. So they're getting into
they're relatable.
It. Yes. Well, so at our last episode, we kind of ended with phones.
Right.
And, kind of that you used to listen in to your sister.
I did.
How did she like that when she heard? Was she like?
I don't know. She didn't really say. All she talked about was the beans, the macaroni and cheese and beans. So she didn't give me any feedback on the listening on the phone. So I'll have to ask her
what she thought, how she felt about hearing that again.
Yes,
because she knew.
Yeah, she knew. You had to be very careful.
Yes. And you can't do that anymore. You can't listen in on phone calls unless
you have a landline.
Right.
And not too many people have that anymore.
No. Do you have a landline still? No. Because I knew you did. We did for quite a long.
Yeah.
Quite a long,
yeah. We had one till probably maybe 4-5 years ago.
Okay. So it has been a little while. Yeah. I do remember that when you still had it. Yeah. I can remember when my parents were like, we're not going to have a landline anymore. We're just going to have our cell phones. Yeah. And it was actually like, I felt like I was like going to go to a funeral for our like phone number. Like I was but that's your phone. That's our phone number. Yeah, right. And I know that number. I still can remember that number. And now I can't remember anybody else's phone numbers, like that are now, like if I had to call somebody.
Right,
I went to jail. But I don't know who I would call.
That was the same way with daughter number 3 of ours.
Yeah.
She was devastated when she learned that we were getting rid of our home phone.
Was she?
Yes.
Yes.
And daughter number 1 was a little bit, she was like, oh, that's our phone number.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I didn't think anything of it.
I was going to say, how did you feel?
I didn't care.
You didn't care.
I didn't care, no.
Do your parents still have a landline?
Yes.
And it's the same number.
Phone number, yeah.
How would you feel if they got rid of that? Would that make you feel?
No, I don't.
Or do Do you know?
No, I don't.
Do you call that number or do you call their cell phones?
Either or.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't matter. Whichever it's like whatever
call.
one I've recently called, I'll just hit recent.
Yeah. I just wondered if you would feel more like different about it because it was like your childhood.
No, I don't think so.
No. Well, I know this, but we both had phones in our rooms.
Yes, I had a phone in my room.
And I had a phone in my room.
But you were special.
I was special. I mean, I'm still special.
Yeah. Hey, that's the truth.
What I remember about phones, and I'm still like a little obsessed with phones, and we could talk about why you said I was special. I know I just kind of glazed over that. But I used to love, because I mean, now you get like the new, if you're an Apple person, you get the new iPhone, and I mean, I'm that's what I am, but I don't know what, if you're an Android, there's probably a new kind of thing that you do get where you're like, oh, I'm gonna get that. But I remember like at first I would always get hand-me-down phones. I would get like my brother's hand-me-down phone. Like I had a Kit car because he had that.
Yeah.
I had a Pac-Man because he had that. So anytime he would get a new phone, I would get his hand-me-down. And then my phone was like brand new. I think I got it for Christmas. It was a little piano. Like it was a little grand piano that you would like the keys. Mm-hmm. When you would dial your number, you would do it on the keys and it would, play a little tune. Yeah. And I remember that was, and so I don't know why I'm still a little obsessed with phones, like old phones and like rotary phones and that, because I don't know if because that was just like the big thing. Like, I don't know.
The lips, remember they had the big lips that you could talk, or the high heel phone, or the shoe that was a phone. Yes, and Garfield.
Yes,
they had
all those. Yeah. Like I feel like you could get a Mickey Mouse.
Yep.
Did you have a Mickey Mouse? No. There was somebody that had a Mickey Mouse, I know, and I had one that it was like clear,
and it had all the colors, like the wires, and
and when it would ring, it would light up. It would be like it would be like a light, and you could have it as like a little nightlight.
See,
too.
You had all the fun stuff. You got all that.
I did have that. Phones, phone wise, I did have a lot of fun stuff. What kind of phones did you have? Did you not have any other? Like, did you have just regular phones? Or did you
in my room?
In your room.
The only one I remember.
My parents did not have a piano phone. No.
Yeah, we had a Garfield phone downstairs. My phone, I think the only one I had was pink. The bottom part was pink, and like the handle was black. So it was just a pink and black phone. Yeah, it was like flat. I know it was either my only phone I ever had or my last phone I had in there, because my niece would play with it when she was little.
Sure.
So we kept it for some reason.
Sure.
So yeah.
Maybe I was just the only one that was obsessed with phones and wanted like new phones
Maybe.
all the time. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess phones weren't my collection.
Thing. Yeah.
I didn't have a collection of phones.
You collected Cabbage Patches.
Yeah.
I collected phones, I guess. That's funny.
Yeah.
So you and I definitely like to talk on the phone as much as we like to talk now in person. Mm-hmm. And you had said how we would, in the last episode, about us being at school all day. And we did just talk about how in grade school we were never in the same class. Like there was always 2 classes for each grade. We were literally never in the same one. I feel like we made up with that in middle school.
Yeah, probably. I feel the teachers didn't want us together either.
Probably, because they knew that we were just going to talk.
Move me to the front. That's not gonna solve the problem.
I can still talk. Can you imagine if we were, like, you were talking about pods, like you had pods? Like, Can you imagine if we were in the same pod?
Right.
Oh, that would have been, the teacher, would totally have split that up. Yeah. So phone-wise, I remember, like, being on my phone in my room, but if my parents weren't home, like, if it was, like, summer during the day.
Down in the living room.
Yes.
Me too.
And at that point, probably when we had cordless phones, too.
Well,
Did you guys have one?
Not for a long time. We didn't have a cordless. I would lay in we had a phone that, not the coil part of the phone, but what you put in the jack.
Yes,
that was longer,
super long. Okay,
and that was in our kitchen, and I could put that like in the middle of the kitchen, and then I could stretch the cord into the living room, and I could still watch TV.
And would you, like, be on the couch, or
no,
would you be
I
on
had
the
to
floor?
sit on the floor.
Oh, you would have sit on the little step.
Had that little step.
Yes.
And I would sit there. If I couldn't reach that, then I'd just lay in the kitchen and watch on the floor, and talk to you and watch TV.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I don't think why would we be like, where are you at?
Right.
I never ever asked that. And we had a phone. It wouldn't have really, because our house was not that big, or still is not that big, same house. But we had a phone in the kitchen and in the living room. Mm-hmm. So even if it wasn't the cordless phone, I could have one right in the living room. I don't know why we needed that many. Maybe because my mom wanted to sit and talk. Maybe. But I feel like I always saw my mom in the kitchen talking and smoking.
Yeah.
She never smoked in the living room. She always smoked in the kitchen. Yeah.
I can remember talking about how if our parents weren't home, we'd be out in the house, just, not confined to our room.
Right.
So if somebody came home,
yes,
I would be like, okay, I'm going to go upstairs in my room, hang up when I pick up my phone.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And I can remember half the time they didn't hang, they'd go do something else. I'm yelling, hang up the phone.
Yes, because you could. Well, and if your parents did come home, or if your mom and sister or whatever, and they were talking in the kitchen, you would hear, probably not like what they were really saying too much, but you could hear like, oh, they're talking, like, hang up the phone. Yeah. Oh yeah, I do remember that. Or even sometimes I can just remember being like, I'll call you back.
Right.
Yeah. That's funny. Yes. Then we would go into bedrooms and still talk about what's on the TV. I can still.
We literally in the summer would call at like noon.
Yes.
Till like 4.
Yes.
We would talk from noon to 4, and we would watch
MTV.
MTV
most of the time.
A lot, and we would watch soap operas. General Hospital, and All My Children. I think All My Children was first at noon.
Yes, that was at noon.
Then we switched to MTV.
Yes.
Then we switched back at 2 to General Hospital, and then whatever till 4. Maybe it was even 5, because that's what time my mom came home from work.
Right.
So
it probably was.
Yeah.
And my parents had like different schedules where if mom was doing hair and stuff like that would be different each day. Yeah. So I could see where if they weren't home till 5 or 6.
We stayed on the phone.
And we just stayed on the phone. Where were our siblings at that point? I know that once we were in middle school, like a little bit later in middle school, they would have went to college, so they would have been gone.
And then,
but in summer
they might have. I mean,
maybe they were working while we were on the phone. They had to pay for our phone bill.
But they wouldn't have been working age yet when we were in in 5th grade, but not like when we were
little. Yeah. But I feel like when we were like on the phone, because I wouldn't have wanted my brother listening, and he would have been like, don't
be quiet.
Talk here.
Yep. I'm watching TV.
I guess maybe he could have went in the basement, and sometimes would go in the basement too, where I would know that I could talk freely, and not bother anyone,
not having anybody listen to what we're talking about.
Yes. And I remember at some point, and I'm pretty sure I was talking to you, at this point where we had call waiting. Do you remember call waiting?
I do remember call waiting.
So this was, if you don't know what call waiting is, this was something where if someone, when you were on the phone and someone called, instead of getting a busy signal, it would actually ring through and you would hear like a beep. And it's kind of like on cell phones. We have that, I guess. Yeah. But it was kind of a big deal back then to have call waiting.
It was.
So then you would click over and talk to that person. And if you either would then click back over and say, hey, I gotta go. Or, oh, I'm done talking to that person. We can keep talking. And I did that to my dad once. Like all I said was, hey, I got to tell Launa or whoever I was talking to, but I'm sure it was you, that I have to go. And he had to talk to my mom for something. And he did not like that. So then I benefited from it because then I got a teen line.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a teen line is, basically it's just another phone line in your house. And
you had your own number.
I had my own phone number, and then when someone would call, that number would only ring up in my room for my phone. It did actually ring down in the kitchen, so we had then they got a new phone for the kitchen, and it had 2 lines.
Oh.
So then I would say if someone called and like we're sitting downstairs and I can't run upstairs, I could answer it and say like, hang on, and then tell someone to hang it up.
Right.
Or I think maybe that phone, you could do a hold, maybe. I'm not sure. But that was also a way that my mom would get on and say, like, good night, Launa.
Oh, yes. At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
that was, well, I was the reason we had to get call waiting.
Were you?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
But it was a long, I mean, we waited a long time. I don't think my dad wanted to spend the money on it.
Sure. Because it was another thing you had to add on to your phone bill.
But I think it was to the point where somebody was trying to call and I would just ignore. You know, they would keep calling and then it had to have been a relative and they came over to see what was going on, and I'm sure I got my butt chewed.
Sure.
You know, because did they
were like scared
that something was wrong. Nobody's answering.
Right.
And for hours.
Right. Or did you like knock the phone off and you didn't know?
Yep. And, and it was off. Yeah. But so they waited as long as they could, and then finally
they were like,
got it. But
gotta do it. Yep. It was funny. Like a couple months ago, someone was talking. I was in a meeting, and they were like talking about party lines, and I thought they were talking about teen. I was like, yeah, I had one of those. And then they started Then they were like talking about it to someone else because someone was like, "What's a party line?" It was actually for people in more for like the country people, and you would have only one phone number for like multiple homes.
Oh.
So say if like we were on this party line together and you were on the phone for hours, you probably wouldn't be because so-and-so would they would literally just, I mean, that's the best way to could listen into people because you would just could listen to your neighbors talk because you would literally just get on the receiver. You would be hearing that someone's on the phone and you would just say like, Launa, I need to call whatever. I was like, oh, that would not have worked for us.
Oh my God, that would have been good at gossip line right there.
Oh my gosh,
you would know everything.
Yes. That's all I would have done. I would have got home from school and been like, and I wouldn't even need soaps.
That's like internet now.
Yeah.
That would have been the internet back then, learning all that.
Yes. Yeah. I had never heard of that, but I guess that was a thing for like
I guess I didn't know what it was called, but I knew that you could do that. That was a thing. Yeah. I think my mom had that when they lived in the country. Oh, maybe. And they talked about it. But,
yeah. I was like, okay, I know that we grew up where like we didn't have all the stuff that people have now, but I was like, we didn't have to do that.
No.
And we thought like, I mean, our phones and like having a teen line, have my own phone number, like that was like a big deal.
I wanted that so bad.
And I had a phone. I even had an answering machine.
I don't remember that.
But. Yeah, I do remember having an answering machine. And I did some kind of, I can't even remember what it was, but my outgoing message, I tried to be funny, and my grandma called and she heard it and she did not
like it.
Think it was funny. I think it's because I said the word fart.
Oh.
And she did not enjoy.
She was not impressed.
No, she was not impressed at all. But if you knew her, you know that word would not have been something.
It would not fly.
No. So yeah,
man, you said fart a lot because you got a detention one time in middle school for saying fart, and I laughed and I got one too. That's how I know, because I was like, what the heck? Why am I getting one?
That is right.
I think it was in science.
I think it was.
That was before we got kicked out.
Yeah, then we got kicked out and put in a different science class. And hey, we had fun.
Oh yeah, that was a fun science class.
That was a fun science class. And I don't probably remember anything we learned.
No.
Except colored popcorn.
And marshmallows.
But that's okay. I don't really use it.
No, I don't. Well, no.
I see one of our former teachers, high school science teachers in town, and I always crack up because I'm like, oh, I feel like he probably looks at me and is like, I do not like you. Because I think I would have looked at me and said, I don't like you. And something got said. I was at a museum thing, and I said something to him about it, and I said something about, and someone goes, well, why? Or something like that. I go, well, I like to talk. And he was like, you, Kate, like to talk?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so I feel like, you with phones, too, we didn't have them at our disposal.
No.
We couldn't always just get a hold of people.
No.
Our parents.
We would our parents, if we were down at Gas and Shop when it was gas, gas, we would call collect, and we would we would say, they answered the operator.
Yes.
And you would say, they'd say, would you accept a collect call from? And you had said your name.
Yes.
And then your message to your house was, come and pick me up. And then you didn't get charged. Then they didn't get charged because they didn't accept the call. They just heard our message.
Right. I forgot about that. Gas and Shop. Yeah.
Gas and Shop. That was that in downtown were the payphones, I think, that were in town.
Because there was still the payphone sitting there, and then there was one over by the police station, right?
Oh, was there?
I think there was. I think there was one by City Hall police station, and I think that was it as far as outdoor freestanding ones. But yeah, I forgot about gas and Shop
because we'd be at Pizza Hut.
Yes.
And then we'd walk over to Gas and Shop.
And would we have walked from the school?
The school, dances.
Oh, that's right. And then we would go to Pizza Hut.
And then we'd go to Pizza Hut.
I remember at Gas and Shop, I'd always want to get Cleary Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
I always thought it was so cool when I was drinking a Cleary Canadian. And I don't even actually remember.
Clear Canadian, I think it was.
What is it?
Clearly. I think clear.
Oh, I keep saying clearly.
I think it's
I am clearly not.
Correct.
Not Canadian.
No, you're not Canadian.
Now I'm gonna have to look that up. I swear to God, it was Clearly.
I don't know. I thought
maybe
it was clear Canadian. I don't know.
That makes more sense because it was clear. It was a clear liquid.
Was it then it tasted fizzy? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
I didn't like it, so
I think it had a little bit of a fizzy to it.
Yeah, but
it wasn't. It's not like how LaCroix is now. It's not that fizzy. And then I liked the was it Snapping-Us into
Snapple.
Oh, you like Snapple?
I like Snapple. Okay, you're right. You're right. You're clearly Canadian.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Ding, ding,
you
ding,
are
ding,
clearly
ding.
Canadian.
I am.
I was wrong.
Canadian.
I just had to look that up because I was like, then I said it. I was like, wait, maybe that's not right. But I like Snapple.
You like Snapple?
I did.
What did you have a favorite kind?
The lemonade.
Oh,
the pink lemonade. I think.
Do they have Snapple still? Is that still a thing?
I don't know.
I don't either. I haven't had it in a long time. And I don't feel like I ever see it at Costco.
Right, or anything.
And I don't think clearly Canadian.
I don't think that's
a thing anymore either. But I liked the Slim Jims too.
Right.
Like I would always get like a snack.
Even
though we were just at Pizza Hut.
Right. I think I always got, well, maybe that was at the skating rink, which we'll have to talk about.
Yes,
but
of course.
I always got, it seems, not Smarties. They were big. They were like the size of a silver dollar, but they were sweet and sour. Do you remember those? I always got those every time I went like to the skating rink or bowling alley.
Yes,
I got those.
Oh gosh, and now I can't remember. So listeners,
if you remember what they were, they were probably. I think they were like 3 or 4 to a package.
Yes, and I do remember them being like bigger.
Yep.
And I remember, were they soft?
They were soft.
Yes.
They were. You could bend them. And everything. Yep.
I know chewy. Exactly what you're talking about.
I know. I can't think of what it is.
Yeah. It's kind of like our lice thing.
Yeah.
It was 3 letters.
Yeah.
And we had we've had 2 different Pizza Huts that we went to.
Yes.
When we were younger.
It was downtown.
Now where like the nail salon.
Yep.
And is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when that moved? Were we in middle school or were we in grade school?
I'm not sure.
I feel like I remember always going to this one now while we were in middle school.
Yeah, but I think we always, because we went to the dances and we walked there. I don't think, I
don't remember ever going downtown for that.
No.
So maybe it was like around that
middle school
time. Or maybe our last years of grade school.
Right. Maybe because then Bordeaux Pizza went in.
Yes.
And
it was in where Pizza
Hut was downtown.
Right. And that didn't last for very long though, right?
I don't think so, no.
I guess we didn't need 2
pizza
places. I don't know why it didn't last.
Maybe it just went out of business. I mean, because I think it was
it's in Ashland now.
Oh, is it? So
yeah, there is one in Ashland.
Or whatever. So, or Nebraska. I don't know what it was, but maybe it just
didn't do well here or something at that point.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We had 2 places. Yeah, and I just remember that Pizza Hut downtown. That's where like we would have a lot of birthday parties. There was like that little game room, and it wasn't that big.
No.
Like the game room and your little birthday party like room.
Your birthday party room was basically a hallway with like a cutout.
Yeah.
Like it was like cut out.
Oh, yeah.
The table went into, the wall kind of.
Right.
And
it was perfect for like little kids. But like if it was like a bunch of adults, I don't think you could get through the hall.
No.
And then I do remember the games were like those ones that were like
the tabletop games.
Yeah.
Miss Pac-Man.
Yes.
Or Pac-Man, I don't know. But it was Pac-Man. Something Pac-Man.
And I remember when they had the new one, it was like, oh, this is a nice place, but they didn't have all the games. And that was kind of sad.
Yeah. There was that driving game I loved where they had the pedal on the floor part.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I can't remember what that was.
I don't remember either.
That.
Oh, I did too. And for some reason, I remember that one more than the newer and what's still currently there, going down there for Book It.
Right.
And I don't know, because it was downtown and not on that was like the highway over here at that point. I mean, it's still a little highway, but, and Mom had her shop downtown. Mm-hmm. So, but I remember like being like, well, we're going to go have our little
Book It.
Yep.
Yes. It was free pizza.
It was. Yeah. And we could go down, like I remember going there not by myself, but not with my parents.
Right.
They would just know where we were.
Yeah.
And I remember doing because they always had, and they still do, but they had the little shakers of Parmesan cheese.
And then like peppers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we'd always kind of dare each other to eat the peppers.
But I also remember unscrewing lids.
For the other people. See, and that's when you needed a camera, so you could
to catch people doing that.
Right. It's like, why are you here still? Right. I just love pizza.
A lot of times, though, we do it to friends because they'd go to the bathroom or whatever.
Yes.
And before we got our pizza, we knew that they were going to take like the cheese
Little
usually.
Cheese. Yes.
And then it would just dump everywhere.
Yes. We were so nice. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, phones that you didn't have in your pocket, they were on a wall.
On a wall or on a
little,
just a phone or a table or something.
Yeah, like a little stand or your nightstand.
Right. We never had any phones mounted to our walls. So.
Oh, okay. So the one in the kitchen
was mounted.
Mounted. Yeah. Yeah. Mounted. Yeah. And Pizza Hut parties.
Pizza Hut.
Yeah. I feel like for our next episode, we're talking about birthday parties. I feel like we could get into
some birthdays,
slumber parties.
Oh, yeah.
The fun we had with that.
We could talk about that for hours. There were so many slumber parties.
We definitely had a lot of slumber parties, and we would just have where we would just spend the night at people's houses, not even just for a
birthday.
Party.
We would just have girls over.
Yeah. And watch
do they do that anymore? That's another thing.
Yeah.
Does anybody with younger kids, do they have like sleepovers?
Parties? I know that like my little cousin will talk about like someone's gonna so-and-so spend the night. So they still do that, but I don't know if it's like
a group or just one
like
person.
one or maybe two. But I don't know if it's like. And do you have birthday? I mean, when you're little, I think they have birthday parties, but I don't think you spend the night. I think it's like, and parents come and well, that wasn't a thing.
That wasn't a thing.
Parents were like,
they dropped you off at that party and they're like, see you in 2 hours.
Yeah. Or if they were excited, they got the whole night. They're like, see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, tomorrow morning. Yep. And it was always like, don't stay up too late. You'll be crabby the next day.
Yes. Like, or we have things we're going to do. Yep. Like, you can't sleep in, or like, you can't come home and nap.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And we never listened to that.
Never.
Nope.
I was always crabby.
And I always remember, we always have those token friends. Like, there was one friend I know that she always fell asleep first.
Right.
She would you would never think that. You would think she would be the wild one, like awake all night, but she always fell asleep first. And we would always kind of mess with her because she fell asleep first.
Don't ever fall asleep first.
No. And if you do, don't get mad at what happens.
Yeah. And I don't think we ever really... Nobody ever got mad.
No.
Because we didn't do anything terrible.
No.
The hand in the water.
Yes. Telling them it was morning.
It was morning and it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Yes. And
they got all their stuff ready.
I do. Yes. I do like that. And I think like we also love to scare. Like our thing, I feel like, was to scare
people. Yep.
And we were on a little text thread with another friends of ours from grade school and on, and little things were popping up about that. And I was like that, and I was thinking about that after I was reading all those texts, and I was like, oh my gosh, we used to do that all the time, and I'm not sure how.
Nobody died.
No one died. No one murdered a friend.
On accident.
Yes. I don't know how that did not happen. Or like someone going like to jail.
Or calling the cops.
Yes. No, we just would call your mom.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, parties for the next episode.
All right. Party on.
Dude.
Wayne. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks so much. And if you are on Facebook, go ahead and give us a follow at Smalltown Gen X.
We'll be sharing our childhood photos and some Gen X videos and fun facts. We'll be sharing our childhood photos and some Gen X videos and fun facts.
We'll see